They appear around the globe. Unidentified objects streaking across the sky.
Wow, look at that.
Home video cameras capture it all. But why do these supposed UFOs keep appearing in the same places? Mexico, Brazil, even United States nuclear bases. Is it a coincidence? Or are these places, these events, proof of UFO hot spots? Sao Paulo, Brazil, 1988. Gulf Breeze, Florida, 1988. Las Vegas, Nevada, 1990. Mexico City, Mexico, 1991.
Wow! Whatever it is, it's something strange.
What do all these cities have in common? There are so many UFO sightings reported in these places that they are all considered to be UFO hotspots.
A UFO hotspot would be an area that represents a high number of sightings of abnormal or unusual aircraft that are unidentifiable.
It's been long recognized that UFO sightings tend to come in waves. In other words, there's an area of the country or the world where the number of UFO sightings increases for some unknown reason.
There are theories about why these areas seem to attract UFO attention. To some, the reason is the natural forces of the Earth, like volcanoes and earthquakes.
The UFOs appear to be observing us. Well, the UFOs have come to certain spots because of what's going on at the time. One of the things that seems to stimulate UFO activity is a major disruption in the Earth.
Still others believe that human behavior is at the root of these sightings.
One of the things that has to do with hot spots is that once somebody notices something, then others are going to look also. That you may not pay much attention to your surroundings. Someone says, gee, last night there were 3 mysterious lights went by. The next night you're going to be watching, and there's a much better chance that you're going to see them than if you're just sort of walking along looking at your feet.
According to the National UFO Recording Center, there have been more than 13,000 UFO sightings in the United States since 1990, making such places as the mysterious Area 51 in Nevada, Washington State, and Florida UFO hotspots. Still, with reports of UFOs coming in from as far-flung locales as Quito, Ecuador, Haifa, Israel, Stuttgart, Germany, and Sydney, Australia, America doesn't seem to be the only place getting these unexplained visits.
Many people don't realize that UFOs are not seen only in the United States. They're seen all over the world. There are hotspots all over the world. Brazil is one of those hotspots.
With 549 sightings, Brazil was second only to the United States in reported UFO activity in 2001. And unlike America, where UFO reports are traditionally met with skepticism, Brazil has a strong tradition of accepting UFO sightings and even publicly conducting government investigations.
Generally, South American countries are more open to this type of thing. There are other cultures that are more tolerant of people's perceptions, their emotions. They're more open to events that may be part real, part mystical, and they do not have the same strong norms, you might say, against reporting unusual or paranormal kinds of experiences. We also have to think in terms of the kinds of religions that predominate, in that if you have religions that make opportunity for saints and angels and things like that, the idea of powerful visitors from afar is, I think, much more easy to accept.
October 15th, 1957. Brazil is the location for one of the world's first accounts of an alleged alien abduction.
Antonio Villas-Boas was a young man. He was driving a tractor in a field. He claimed he saw an object come down out of the sky and land nearby. He was greeted by aliens taken on board, washed off with some kind of a substance that smelled very badly to him. He made him vomit. And he later thought maybe that might have been something like a disinfectant or the like. While he was in this enclosure, a female alien type came in and had sex with him. And then went away, and he was dumped back out.
To many, this seems like an outlandish story. But Villas-Boas' reluctance to profit from the incident lends the tale an air of credibility in many quarters. And several months after the incident, the story gets some scientific backing when he is diagnosed with radiation poisoning. He is examined by Dr. Olavo T. Fontes, a professor of medicine at the National School of Medicine of Brazil.
One of the very important people in Brazil was a Dr. Olavo Fontes. He was a medical doctor. He worked for the Brazilian government. He investigated the case, and he said that as far as he was concerned, it was a good case. It really happened the way that the young man said.
Less than 6 months after the alleged Villas-Boas abduction, the Brazilian Navy has a well-documented encounter with a UFO. In February of 1958, aboard the Almirante Saldanha, a civilian photographer named Almiro Baruna takes 5 photographs of what seems to be a ringed, oval-shaped object. The photographs are shown to Juscelino Kubitschek, the president of Brazil. Not wanting to keep this information secret, Kubitschek releases the pictures to the public, and they soon appear. Saldana continued to this Brazil as the
Records of the and ich know you're
was Yasuo favorite sister led her to it. What's theory is that the ABA0 struck Amazon forest made next to the Bill standards of year make of the UFO sightings are ancient Aztec pyramid. Area with the is some 60 of Mexico. According to UFO Carlos, 60 residents receive a air traffic confirmed that regularly detect identified object area. And is chiefly known as of a 14-tech pyramid. Some ufologists sacred spots represents that made UFO.
There are spots where there's certain activities and fields, you might call it, or portals. There is a lot of UFO.
Extraterrestrials to enter our world, and also that they've been responsible of some of the world sites, being the Great Pyramid.
Less than 2/100 of an inch between the tolerances to which it's built, tolerances that we use, and the more you study, you begin to realize there was something beyond our understanding.
4,000 years old, from over 2 million. Each side is perfect points of the compass. South, east. The maximum error between the astonishingly less than.
People have looked now, they must have built these contact with aliens, or the aliens have somehow helped them build these structures.
Another theory is that both the ancient architects who built the sites and the alleged UFOs who visit them are attuned to a supposed geomagnetic energy force called ley lines, a grid-like pattern that covers the entire Earth.
Ley lines are geometric, they're like fields or lines of energy, and there's all kinds of intersections of certain ley lines which seem to create magnetic anomalies.
Ley lines have also been linked to tectonic activity, the movement of the Earth's plates, a force that results in earthquakes and volcanoes, and provides another potential explanation of UFO activity in Mexico.
One of the reasons I believe that Mexico City is indeed a hotspot for unidentified flying objects is due to the volcano that's near Mexico City, where large numbers of legitimate unidentifieds have been filmed.
UFOs have frequently been reported near Popocatépetl, Mexico's Smoking Mountain.
They've been keeping a camera on that mountain ever since it started erupting, and there's rocks that are blasted out of the volcano, and they take an aerodynamic flight path and look like there's something flying when they're not. That's pretty hard to believe when you see the direction they actually go. They come down and toward the mountain rather than going up from the mountain.
Why would UFOs hover over volcanoes? One theory proposes that high levels of heavy hydrogen, called H3O, are typically found in places with increased geological activity, like volcanoes.
H3O has an extra hydrogen atom in it, and that extra hydrogen atom can be split off and used as hydrogen fuel or for energy. And it's in the splitting of this extra particle that you can create a fusion effect. It's possible that these UFOs may be harnessing this type of energy for their systems to perhaps propel themselves through the atmosphere.
So perhaps UFOs are interested in Mexico more as an intergalactic gas station than for its sacred ancient structures. Coming up next, 10 of America's nuclear missiles suddenly shut down as a glowing disk hovers above Malmstrom Air Force Base. As the control center for some 221 Minuteman intercontinental ballistic missiles, Malmstrom Air Force Base near Great Falls, Montana, is an essential part of the nuclear arsenal for the United States. For decades, Malmstrom and other strategic air command centers like it have been the primary potential targets for the country's enemies. But many UFO experts wonder if these bases have also been attracting a different kind of attention. Are America's nuclear installations UFO hotspots?
One interpretation of UFO activity is that these entities, assuming that they are entities, are interested in our technological development. We're a very violent species, as you know if you watch television at night. So that alone is a reason that they would have to pay attention to what we're doing.
March 16th, 1967. Reports of UFOs at Malmstrom seem to demonstrate an extraterrestrial interest in America's nuclear forces.
The way it happened, according to Robert Salas, who was stationed underground in one of the missile complexes, was that he received a phone call from a security guard up on ground level, saying, in effect, that there was a large, red, glowing, disc-shaped object hovering in front of the facility. And the guards were extremely frightened about this, as you can imagine.
He kind of laughed and sort of said, you know, back off. The security guard...
Ja, dat is goodness Sunday, but I really was. And it's not so seven. I had that move. So yeah, I don't know, so seven. Then
Force's official investigation of UFO.
A lot of investigation went on.
And the government has never explained.
All experienced a series of unidentified objects. Some of these at random by a series of aircraft that should not have been there.
At each of the bases, official logs record eyewitness accounts of the UFO incursions were a type of readiness
Here's somebody else sitting at my tongue and else. You're chill. Ones are still, I know.
People in Great Falls, Montana for help because unidentified.
The U.S. government remains characteristically silent on the
report explaining what happened. It's simply a...
And as far as the government is concerned, it can